And so our verse, we're beginning at verse 12 and 13 says, therefore, since we keep having such confident expectation, hope. What confident expectation? Right here. Glory. Glory. This should ring a bell already by this time. The Shekinah glory. Therefore, since we keep having such confident expectation, we employ, and this is the customary present. Why customary? Because when you understand and when you have this confident expectation, you bet that the incidental and inevitable result is that you're going to demonstrate boldness, confidence, openness. We employ much, and this doesn't say just a little bit, much confidence, boldness, and openness. And what is this confidence, boldness, and openness? It's the motivation to continue advancing. And it's going to give you the contrast right here, the direct antithesis of confidence, boldness, and openness. Verse 13, and not like Moses, who habitually placed or put a covering, a veil on his face, so that the sons of Israel would not look or stare into the end of what is being put away, of what is fading away. So Moses put on that veil so that the sons of Israel would not look at that fading glory. I mentioned last time that it was the will of God for that glory to fade, because that manifestation of glory illustrated something about the nature of the old covenant. And now I do not know if it was the will of God for Moses to put on that veil to cover it up, but whether it was wrong or right, we know that God capitalized on that situation to teach us the new doctrine that comes along about the hardness of heart, scar tissue, the veiled glory of the old covenant. But let's not get ahead of ourselves yet. So we have to go over the doctrine of glory. The doctrine of hope really quick. So here we are, doctrine of hope. By this time we know that it's confident expectation. First of all, definition and description. In the Old Testament, it was used for waiting with expectation or anticipation. Similar concept to that in the New Testament. In the New Testament, we see that it's a confident expectation as well. Confident expectation about something in the future. The Hebrew words for these, I know it doesn't make sense here. Batak, it comes from, it's something like this. Batak. Batak. So here's the ba, the th, and the ch. And so here are the vowels ba and then a. Ba, tach. This is the verb, obviously. This is to trust. Obviously, faith rest technique, and trust, faith rest technique, yeah, and hope go together. For hope is faith, belief in the future. In fact, not just believe, but trust and be confident about the future. So faith and hope do go together. And so here, this word batach, this is to trust, to believe, to trust, and obviously to wait. Excuse me. This word also can be turned into a noun. So miv, what is it? Sorry. The mu. Miv, tach. Miftach. So this is turned into a noun. There's another word also for it that means literally to wait, and that is kawa. It looks like this. Kawa. This could also be turned into a noun. So this is the verb right here, just as this was verb. This literally means to wait, to expect. And then so you turn it into a noun, and that is mikwach. Mikwach or tikwach. Mikwech. Yeah, mikwech. So mikwech or tikwach. You turn it into a noun. Verb, noun. Okay. In the Greek, we have el pis and el pizzo. We just saw that. I don't think we need to go over that. We saw the we saw the noun right here. El pis. Here's in the accusative. El pida. And the Greek, there's a verb for that. It's called el pizzo. El pizzo, to hope, to wait. Okay. And let's continue now. Okay. So yes, definition. Point 2. So as I just mentioned, there is it's used for waiting, having a confident expectation about the future. And the Old Testament is to expect or to anticipate. But what do you expect or what do you anticipate? Obviously, you hope in God. You believe God and you believe that He's going to keep His promises. And therefore, it leads us to point 2. Therefore, hope anticipates. What is this? Hope anticipates the function of the integrity of God. For God's integrity is what keeps His promises. We have Job chapter 4, verse 6, Job 5:16, Psalm 71:5, Romans 4:17 and 18, Romans 5:2-5, Romans 12:12, Philippians 1:20, Titus 1:2, Hebrews 6, verses 18 and 20. Let's look at the Old Testament. Psalm 71:5. Let's see if I have this right. I do. 71:5. And look what it says. For you have been my hope. And this is the word tikwa. Tikwe. You have been my hope, sovereign Lord. And look, confidence goes together with that one. The faith rest technique, belief, and a hope, personal sense of destiny, they go together. Belief is the faith rest technique, but once you start developing the doctrinal rationales, you start forming hope, confident expectation about the future. So problem solving device number 3 and problem solving device number 6, they go together. For you have been my confident expectation, sovereign Lord, my confidence, belief, faith rest technique, since my youth. From my birth I have relied on you. You brought me forth from my mother's womb, out from my mother's womb. Keep that in mind. It's not inside the mother's womb, and some people try to translate it. I will ever praise you. Okay. And so that's one of the verses that we have for confidence. So obviously it anticipates the function of integrity, because we know that God is going to keep His word. We know that first of all, at the moment of salvation, we receive the imputation of righteousness. So that means that the justice of God is going to honor that righteousness imputed inside of us. And therefore, we're going to be beneficiaries of God's logistical grace. Remember that God's logistical grace is for both losers and winner believers. At the moment of salvation, if I can delete this, yes, I can. At the moment of salvation, here we are, phase 1. The believer believes in the Lord Jesus Christ. Yes, he has placed his trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. The justice of God imputes into him the righteousness of God. He is now saved. And this righteousness, he continues having it forever, by the way, all the way to phase 3. So this righteousness forms a pipeline between the justice and the righteousness of God. The justice of God looks down at that imputed righteousness that he received at the moment of salvation positionally. This is positional, by the way. He looks down, and the justice of God blesses that righteousness imputed inside of him. He gives him sustenance, everything necessary to remain alive. He gives him everything necessary to execute the spiritual life, and he also gives him motivational blessing. And this is both to winner believers and loser believers. Those loser believers are those who did not execute the spiritual life, yet they are saved because they have believed in the Lord Jesus Christ once, and therefore they're forever saved. But they're losers in that they did not execute the spiritual life in phase 2. They did not advance in the divine power sphere all the way to spiritual maturity. So they're losers. The winners are those believers who did advance all the way to spiritual maturity. And this logistical blessing is for both losers and winners. Why? Why is it for both losers and winners? Because both losers have the imputed righteousness of God, and winners have the imputed righteousness of God. This is not revocable. You have it forever. And because Both losers and winners have the imputed righteousness of God. This forms that permanent pipeline of logistical blessing. So this also forms part of our hope, confident expectation that God is going to provide his logistical grace. Logistical grace is going to provide. And so I mentioned that one. And look at Hebrews chapter 16, verse 18. Let me see if I can show you that. I don't think I'm running out of time yet. Hebrews chapter 6. Remember the two immutable things with which I began chapter 2 of 2 Corinthians? And look, God did this so that by two unchangeable, immutable things, in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled to take hold of the confident expectation set before us may be greatly encouraged. And what is this, the two unchangeable things? It is that he swore on two things: his essence, that he does not lie, and the decree. And so those two unchangeable things gives us confident expectation to continue advancing. Abraham, who was sterile, he was unable to copulate. He received the promise of receiving the promised child, and God swore on two unchangeable, immutable things: his essence and on the decree. And that is what gave confident expectation to Abraham. Okay. So